We're live.
We're live. Caught us in a little technical moment. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the 10th episode of Add Water and Stir. I am a Dr. Black mom, and I'm joined by Complicated Melodies Mimi.
Hey,
Hi.
everybody. Welcome back. We are on our same day, same time. Thank you for joining us. If you are in the middle of what's on right now? Is it Scandal or
How to Get Away with
one of
Murder.
those two? So if you're
Yes.
joining us, we appreciate you.
Yes, yes, and we understand that you were probably like doing like this. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Exactly.
Because that show is kind of complicated to watch. So
Yes. You can't do both of them at time. You have to choose.
you
Choose
gotta
us.
choose. Choose us. Choose us. You can watch it on demand.
Exactly.
So, so Mimi has a wine glass tonight. What are we sipping on?
Oh, Mimi is drinking. Um, it's called Six Sense Syrah. And you know how I do it. I just go to the wine store and pick up something that's close and in my price range. But this one I think I paid a nice, you know, more than $10 for it. So
Oh,
we
okay.
good. You know.
All
What
right.
about you? What you got?
I have a gigantic rum and coke. Yes.
I mean hard liquor. We have moved up. But
We are, it's a brown liquor kind of day.
in a tumbler. So she has gone past the Olivia Pope glass.
Confession, like I texted Mimi a couple of hours ago and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna be kind of turned up tonight, cause or rather turned down and down and down and down.
So that's just letting y'all know what type of podcast this is going to be
This is gonna
tonight. So
be
this is our anniversary, though. We have made it to 10 episodes.
episodes.
So I know.
I
Yay!
know.
We're
There's some
full of
sound effects around here some kind of way.
see, already 10 episodes. So this is a party. We're considering this a party
It's a
today.
party. This is a party. We are excited. It's yeah, 10 episodes. So congratulations, co-host.
Yay! 5 months of doing this consistently. We're doing it.
We are doing big things and we've got big plans. And as soon as both of us have some free time, we're going to work on them.
Yes, we are. We are.
When we do have plans.
Yes.
So, how have you been on this Hallows Eve?
Well, I'm
Mimi?
doing good. I'm tired because I just did trunk or treat tonight. And this was our first kind of major holiday
Oh,
with
wow.
with Nana. So that was pretty cool. And if you don't know what trunk or treat is, I don't blame you because I did not know what it was either. And it is where all the parents get together in the parking lot and you drive in and pop your trunk and decorate your trunk with like spider webs and things and then the kids come around and trick or treat out the trunk of your car, which is slightly ratchet, but because it's not us doing it, it's creative. Because if you did this in the hood, I think they would call it something else. But okay.
Awesome, awesome,
What
awesome.
about
Well,
you?
that's kind
What's
of cool.
going on with you?
Well, we are getting ready for Halloween, and I mean, clearly there's been a lot going on around these parts. Looks like the dedication is back on. If you haven't read the blog recently, it's like been up and down, but we're looks like we're going to be moving forward with that. But I spent,
Yay, yay. That's a
yay!
good that's a win.
It is a huge thing, and so I'm really excited about it. And I still am kind of working through some emotions about how we got to this space, but each hour is getting better. So it's really going to be a cool and exciting thing for us. But I spent the evening in one of the scariest places that you could be on Halloween Eve, Party City.
So you learned your lesson, right? Like don't
Yeah.
wait till the last minute.
Yeah, I was in denial that she really wanted to go trick-or-treating, and I found out today that apparently this is still a thing in middle school. So now I know. I don't know if it's going to be a thing next year in high school, but now I know. And but I'm exhausted. I mean, the line was like it was just terrible. It was a really crazy experience, but I got to spend a lot of good quality time with Hope, and there was a school dance today, and so we had to talk about her crushes, and we had to talk about, her, her, that, so and so doesn't like so and so, but then they got back together, and it's just so soap opera. It is Days of Our Lives, like.
Girl, you have your own mini love and hip hop right there, so you might as well get into it, right?
I do. And so, now it's like, I don't know, there's all kinds of drama. There's some little crew. But the sad thing is like, how I think that, and I mean, I've never been a boy, so I don't know. I don't know how they get about, feeling lonely, but we are going through a lonely period. And like everybody else has a bae, but me.
Is that what they call them, babe?
That's what's hot in the streets now. So apparently everybody has a bae, and but me, and maybe I'm just it's very Scarlet. It's just there is.
I find this entirely too amusing to hear about on this side. And also, I'm scared, so I'd like you to go through it first so I can take all the lessons learned from you and apply it to
Well, and
who
some
I.
of it, it's interesting because some of it is so, well, I'd say probably 90% of it is like, I remember what that feels like, and it's just awful, and every little thing is like this, and it's everything is on 10 all the time, all the emotions, and it's just so real. And
Right.
and it is real, but it is real to her. And so but we did have this conversation today about dating because, like, they're like, oh, well, they're going out. And I'm like, going out where? Like,
Together, right? It means together,
right. And I just assumed that meant going together,
right?
steady, whatever,
Well, what
But
does
she was,
going out mean?
well, I mean, it does mean that, but then there's like this other additional expectation of like, well, when I have somebody, I'm like, you'll take us to the movies. Who? You 13. There's got to be like 18 other people for you to go to the movies with that dude.
A whole crew is going, and I'll be like 10 rows behind y'all watching.
And I was like, and that's only because there's gonna be 18 other people there. And I was like, because if she goes with her little girlfriend, I'll usually sit somewhere else at the theater. I was like, oh no, but if you and Bay are going, oh no, I'm gonna be right there, like right there.
In the middle. Be like, can you pass the popcorn, please?
Yeah. And so she just looked at me and was like, you wouldn't take us to the movies? No. Well,
Mm-mm-mm.
would you let his parents take us to the movies? Just the two of y'all? Yeah. No.
You have a while to go.
Yeah, you got plenty of time for that. No, there's got to be like 18 other people up in the mix. So, no. Y'all need to be traveling in herds at this point.
13 is still the pack. That's still the pack.
Yeah.
That's when you
Yeah.
roam them all together.
Yeah, and so but we had a really good time. I mean, that was the upside of going to Party City is that we had hours to, yeah, bond and talk girl stuff, which was kind of cool. And I had to kind of keep the face though, because it was just some of it. Whew, yeah, 13 is so special. It's cute.
It's interesting how we're experiencing all these new parenting stuff at the same time. I mean in different levels, right? So we're both
Yeah, yeah,
experiencing Halloween with the child for the first time.
yeah, yeah,
I just realized, just like you're realizing, like, I am completely out of the loop about what people do that are younger than me. I have no idea. What is a trunk or treat? Why are we doing this? And the fact that you like middle school people are still trick or
Still
treating,
trick or treating?
like, that's so puzzling to me.
Yeah, it is. I thought it would have been passe, but the whole hook is she was like free candy. And I was like,
Yeah, I'm gonna
oh.
buy you some candy if you stay at the house, so we can both stay at the house.
I'm thinking, we can like hit the on demand. We can watch all of the Charlie Browns. We can watch like some Wes Craven. We can make this, we can like make this happen. But no, we going out.
Well, we need to get into it, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm dressed. If you watch any of the Doc McStuffins, I have on a green shirt with kind of a white thing underneath it. I'm dressed as Doc McStuffin's mother. You didn't know that, did you?
I did not know she was. Look at Mimi is rocking her costume
I
tonight.
am. I'm rocking my costume, even with the little headband. You know, Doc McStuffin's mother has a natural hairdo. You know, I got locks. She has like a little mini fro or something. You know, curly top, kind of like yours, girl. I
Dang.
couldn't do the whole thing like that, but I got the green shirt and I got the little short jean pants that she wears in the flats. And honestly, we are just
We're
now
gonna
getting
get
to.
into it.
Excuse me.
We're gonna get into it. I'm gonna get into it. Right now I am the undead mother of a vampirist.
Is that what it is? That's your costume. So she's wearing all black, and what are you wearing?
Actually, no. I have a little. I have a masquerade mask, a bumblebee masquerade mask. So I will be a bumblebee.
Okay, well that'll be. See, we're doing it.
So see, I bought myself a little mask, and like I'm just gonna wear my standard issue all black, and you know, I have a yellow scarf, and so I'll probably put that on, and but I'm going to go trick or treating. I'm going trick or treating with the teenagers, which means that ain't nobody gonna see me. Why? Because I'm supposed to be in the shadows, not talking.
That is true. That is true. You're supposed to blend into the background. So
Blended in. So yeah. So for those of y'all that observe Halloween, happy Halloween and
happy Halloween, and
all that
maybe next year we'll
jazz.
be like way more into this than we are now.
Yeah. I honestly think we just weren't ready. That we just weren't ready.
I don't
So
think I was ready. So if you read my blog and you saw doing it wrong, you realize I'm not ready. And I'm rarely ready. So, this is not anything new. So,
So we will stay tuned and see what happens. I'm sure I will be blogging about my experiences of hiding in the shadows and in the bushes while out of sight of my while the teens do their thing. So, but I'm kind of looking forward to observing her in her natural habitat. So we'll see about how that goes. So
so what's our party? What are we going to do for our party here? So, how are we going to celebrate?
I don't know. Well, I've been traveling a lot. And so let's see. You don't have that. But wait a minute, I don't know how to draw on myself. Um,
You trying to draw on yourself?
yeah, I'm trying to see. Can I do that? Draw is not supported on this user's platform. Okay. All right. Well, never mind. I was gonna put on a little something something, but apparently that's not gonna work. So,
Okay.
uh-oh, wait a minute, something's happening. Oh no, we lost you. Nope, there you are. Okay, sorry.
What?
There you go. Use app. You just, oh, okay. Oh, did you take a picture? It's like we're just
Oh,
all
did
over.
I take a picture? I did not mean to do that. So,
So, anyway,
let
so
me stop clicking buttons on the side.
I know I'm a little I'm a little confused now. So anyway, well, happy anniversary. Happy 10th
Yes.
anniversary. And the chat and the Q&A is open. But we have a mini program tonight. So we're gonna talk about, we know we only have 10 episodes, so we can't do like the best of because well that would be kind of hokey. But we are gonna talk about our favorite podcast moments
Okay.
over
All
the last
right.
few months, and hopefully we'll get some giggles and some good stuff. So, what you got? What's on your highlight reel, Mimi?
On my highlight reel, so, we had a very emotional kind of show. I think it was the fourth show when we were talking about both of our times that we're saying no to our first placement and how we felt about that. So I enjoyed that one. That is also the reason why I like that. That is the first instance of the ratchet recommendation, So that is when I first showed the bacon sunflower seeds. Um, you know what? We really should have made a meme out of this because your face, the way your face when I showed these sunflower seeds, absolutely priceless. Because you were like, wow, I have never heard of this before. And I enjoyed that podcast too because we had our first guest. That was Future Adopter came and joined.
Future adopter,
Yeah.
yes.
So the whole thing was a good episode. So that's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I really, it's hard to say I enjoyed it, but I really did kind of enjoy our talk about Ferguson. It was a difficult talk that we had because it was something that we really wrestled with and kind of thinking about all of the emotions of what it means to raise brown and black kids now in an environment where it just feels very threatening and feeling like we should be past it, but clearly we're not. And I think that I was really proud of that episode, and I was really proud of kind of how we handled it. But, I also really, and shout out again to Future Adopter for
Her
like
recaps.
her recaps, like seriously, you got to check out her blog, like because she is now our official, unofficial like recapper.
So if you cannot watch the whole thing, she will break every piece of it down and add her own commentary, graphics, gifs, everything. Probably
Yes,
more entertainment, entertaining than watching us for an hour.
She cracks us up. She really is funny. But somewhere along the way, she coined the wind down, and we promptly stole that right on off of her blog, and and we liked it. So thank you, shout out. But I have to say, I love the wind down. I do. I love it. I think it's great. It was the best name ever, and I have to say, but so far my favorite wind down moments, and I have loved them all, but. I'm sorry. I love breaking down Aretha Franklin and Sissy Houston. Like I just enjoyed myself so much.
Oh my gosh, I was going to highlight that one because not only did we talk about the wine doll, the Aretha Franklin, but we also talked about your damn it doll on that episode too. And I mean, it just went way too far. Way too far. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I envision you playing with this doll. Upset, so
just see there's damn it. She's black and white and red hair and I love her. But yeah, that wind down was just really. That was good for me. I go back and sometimes I have to watch it myself. So all of those views that we like to look at on our stats, that's really me looking at
us having a breakdown on the wind down. I mean, we got a little crunk on that wind down. Because honestly, that whole episode was a little crunk because that's where we did our bougie scores. We talked about going from bougie ghetto to bourgeois. And I mean, it's just the whole thing. That was a good episode.
It was a good episode. It was a good episode. But that was, I think, also when we started talking, I mentioned those crackers and Future Adopter reduced my bougie score.
Oh.
Or no, she actually made me more bougie.
Yeah,
she didn't reduce it. She actually she increased my bougie score on her.
I actually bought those crackers so I can show them to you. And since I don't, I'm going to, you know what? Continue talking so I can find these pictures of this cracker. So
all right. So other episodes I have things that I have really enjoyed about doing the podcast is I've really enjoyed those comments that we have gotten. Sometimes we have gotten some really great comments about that and the episodes. I have to say I really have appreciated serial adopter, I think actually sent some comments before the episode that we talked about Ferguson, and that was good stuff. We really appreciated the support. Um, and let's see, what else have we talked about?
Oh, we've
Let's
talked
see.
about so much stuff. So, at the beginning of it, we went through, I mean, we were very educational and we were very prepared. We went through the census report.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so we went through the census report and went through all that. So that was pretty cool.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
we talked about waiting during the adoption period. That was
Oh yeah,
episode 5, right? And so, what did we do with all those emotions as you deal with your waiting?
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Yeah. Well, and of course, if you saw the last one, we talked about the starting new traditions, and so it's funny how quickly that one. I mean, we chose to do that because the holidays were coming, and here it is now the night before Halloween, and it's like, oh wow, it's like really here, and now we're actually doing stuff, and it's really well, we've already kind of recapped how our week is going, so
mhm.
you know how crazy it is to kind of think about that. So yeah, what else we got? We got how bougie are you? We got oh so we had our conversation about discipline,
Oh, yes.
which
Now,
if you saw Blackish last
yes,
week, which I guess we'll
yes,
talk about
last week.
Blackish a little bit later, but they had
Talking
this
about
whole
spanking.
conversation about spanking.
Oh my gosh.
um, but we talked about this kind of how do we reconcile maybe how we were raised and how it's like you don't necessarily think that there's anything wrong with some of the discipline that we may have experienced, may did experience.
We
Um,
don't want to call anybody out on the show, right? We may
um,
have.
right, but recognizing that this is kind of a different era, and when you're dealing with kids who have experienced some things, some trauma, or maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but that there's just some stuff that they're wrestling with, and the kind of how do you deal with discipline, in that respect, and you know, it's uh, it's different now.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that I don't. I mean, I'm sure. I know that. I guess maybe she wrote about this a few weeks ago, and she's looking for these books.
Ma'am, because she is trying me. I feel like I'm taking a test right now, but we're working through it. We're working through
Okay,
it. I
okay,
really
okay.
liked. I did. We'll talk about bloggers, but I did read, and I don't even know the name of the blog. I have to look. She wrote a blog that said, "Don't speak to your children unless you're loving on them." And I said, "Oh,
Yes.
that is. I have to remember that. I
Yeah.
love you, Nana. If you don't
Mhm,
sit down over there, I still
mhm.
love you though." So.
Yeah, I think it was that yesterday or today, and it really she talked, and we'll talk about it later, but she talked about using whiteboards.
Mhm. Mhm.
She talked about using whiteboards, really good stuff. So
Well, why
yeah.
don't we transition into our blog? I mean, our
Hmm.
blogs, kind of,
Hmm.
some of our favorite posts, or
Hmm.
I guess maybe even reader favorites.
Mm. Well, let's see. Some of the I guess one post that was an incredibly emotional post for me that I wrote shortly after Hope was placed with me, and we were going through a really tough, very, very tough period. It's not, I mean, I look back on it and I feel what I was writing. It's not a happy
Hmm.
post, but I think it was called the Sandstorm of Trauma.
Okay.
And I talked about how living with a child that's healing from trauma can kind of be like just being in a sandstorm, and it permeates everything. I mean, to the point that sometimes you just feel like you can't breathe. And And I think that it ended up being a pretty popular post, and there, a lot of people could relate to it. Um, and it was definitely one of those posts that was for me a turning point where I was like, oh, I hate saying like this is normal, but this is normal for families like mine.
Right, right.
And
And
so
sometimes
it
you
was
don't
a really
realize
meaningful
that
thing.
until you put it
Yeah,
out into the universe and other people
yeah,
are, saying, affirming how you're
yeah,
feeling. So,
yeah, yeah. So how about you? What's a highlight post?
well, there were a series of posts for me when we were going through the transition. Wood and I were still trying to figure out our roles and taking care of a new child. Um, and I had wrote a post about the diaper bag. I remember at that time, Wood, every time we would leave the house, he'd be like, "Do you have this? And do you have that? And can you put this in your purse and put all this stuff?" And I just was like, dude, I have this. And we both were trying to assert our parenthood, our
Mm,
different ways of parenting. And we hadn't figured out how to let each other be parents without
mm,
kind of looking over each other's shoulder. So it was like
mm.
a period of transition. I think other people could relate to
Yeah,
going through that.
yeah, yeah. That's I remember that, and for me, I didn't have that kind of transition,
Hmm.
but the transition, I guess the only kind of parallel was that I didn't have anybody. Like it's just me,
Yeah.
and so
To
so
have to ask questions or deal with.
right. I remember us kind of even talking about this on the podcast and through our blogs about not about having somebody to tag out.
Oh, yes.
And I, 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 I have to say that was kind of and that may have been, I think we talked about it maybe even before we started podcasting. But that's when I kind of was like, okay, I need to get some help. Like I need to get, I need to get this center service like off the ground situation because I needed some tagging.
Yeah, you needed to you needed to get somebody to tag you out
I needed
sometime.
to get up out of this joint. But there was a post that I wrote pretty recently that has garnered some attention, and that was a response to Angela Tucker's, and she's an adoptee blogger, and she wrote about, she basically kind of raised some questions about why Black families and other families of color are not adopting white kids.
Mhm.
Or actually, and I think the title of her original post was something like, did a Black family want me? Why
Right.
didn't a Black family want me? Or something like that. And I posted a response called "Adopting While Black,"
Mhm.
and I got some attention in it, and it was really good to engage her too, and to kind of also affirm, no, no, there are families that would have wanted you,
Right.
and that would still want you, but this is kind of what the world looks like from this vantage point, and it was good to engage an adoptee because I do share her and some other bloggers. I'm increasingly sensitive about the voice of adoptive parents in blogging versus the adoptee voice, and how sometimes that voice is really minimized and ignored or just not heard as often. And it's interesting. It's an interesting parallel to being a Black adoptive blogger
Yes, it
in,
is
in some ways. So
because you're part of that community that kind of are able to privilege yourself above the adoptee voice, right? But then
hmm
you're also marginalized in the larger adopted parent community. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
kind of have this duality that you're working with. And
yeah.
it's interesting that you talk about that post because at the same time that was happening, I wrote a post that garnered a lot of people a lot of attention too, which was the mainstreaming
Oh yeah.
of adopting what I think what's it called? Mainstreaming the adoption of brown children, and it
hmm
was talking about the Cheerios commercial, and it had two white males, gay, um, that had adopted a completely gorgeous little
She was cute.
yes, black
hmm
baby. and
Mhm.
Cheerios was using this to sell Cheerios. But my perspective on that is, why is this like so um
Cool.
yeah, why is that cool? Because and it's not just them, right? Just in general, this seems to be the mainstream conversation when we talk about adoption. It seems like that's what people are starting to think of is um, white people adopting brown babies. And why is that? And why don't we see more brown people adopting brown
And brown
babies?
babies, yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
showed a Wendy's commercial, and I see the same thing in the Wendy's commercial,
Yeah.
and this is just starting to be a norm. And for me, I didn't really touch too much on the article about it, but I wonder if there's a rationale behind it. I don't know necessarily like it's a concerted effort, but I think there are some elements to it that it makes sense. We have a lot of brown children that need to be adopted, so
Yeah.
it's best to make it to be something that's acceptable, and their
Yeah.
way we can get more brown children adopted.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
So
I think that I think the experience on both of our blogs and to some degree the podcast, we've kind of um, not danced around. I think that we've kind of stepped into some of the conversations about transracial adoption. I'm not really sure that was our intention. I'm happy with it. I think it's a great thing, but it's an interesting. Again, there's kind of largely an absent voice of brown people talking about how they feel about transracial adoption, and it's interesting because I mean, in my own post, I really was like, I don't really get down with the whole idea of the National Black Social Worker saying that it's really just so unethical and it's, almost tantamount to genocide and all of this kind of stuff. I was like, that's some really strong language. But I do agree wholeheartedly with them that people of color and families of color who are engaged in very negative circumstances with the system are more likely to lose their kids in the system and to have those ties broken, leaving more kids in the system.
And I think it's a challenging message to say because we are part of a larger adoptive community, which a large part, at least that blogs are talking about, mainly come from a transracial adoption. So you're not trying to alienate that community either because
Right.
again, like you said, it's not that you agree with that it's genocide. We too want brown children to have families who love
Families.
them. Right, we do.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we can't have some commentary around it,
Yeah.
around the social, political, and economic factors that play into why the situation is the way it
The
is
way
now.
that it is. Yeah.
And there are lots of players into the whole situation. So it's not just, the white families that are adopting. It's also the black families that are not adopting or not having the opportunity or not feeling like they should adopt. What's happening there too. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting conversation. I'm
Yeah.
interested to see how this transforms us over time.
Yeah.
How we'll continue to
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that I think it's a cool discussion, and I think it's an important discussion, and I'm glad that we have tripped into that space. So that's kind of cool. So other posts that you like.
Well, I like my Doing It Wrong series. Um, so mainly this has to do with me and my daycare. And just not ever
Mustache
feeling.
day.
I mean, pajama
Pajama
day,
day.
Halloween. Just it always seems like I am never prepared in the right way to do the things that are required of me as a parent when it relates to the school. And I don't know if it's not because I'm a working parent, because most of the parents there are working. I don't know if the expectation is different or I'm just lazy. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like I'm always one step behind. And
Yeah.
so my message to other parents is, it's okay. It ends up working out, but it also just kind of shows my freak out about how to be the right type of parents.
Yeah.
um, and what that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Good stuff. Well, I guess I did a couple of series last month, maybe. The I Marvel
oh yes, yes, that was
um,
very
and I think it was,
positive and hope filled.
yeah. And and I did those in part because I needed to feel positive, and I needed to kind of have a accounting of some really good stuff. Because sometimes it's really easy to focus on the challenges in the journey. I try to be pretty introspective on my blog and kind of I do the lessons learned on a regular basis just because I need to kind of gut check myself sometimes. Because again, it's just sometimes when you're dealing with some stuff on a day to day basis, it's just kind of hard to sometimes pull up out of the downturn. And but I found myself kind of thinking, wow, I am really surprised. Like, we're doing okay. And like, she's really doing okay. Maybe I'm not completely screwing up. Like, I think I can actually get her to adulthood. So, oh, I've lost audio.
Oh,
Oh, there
sorry,
you
I
go.
was on mute. I was saying it's interesting that we are always checking our parenting skills. Like we're probably very hard on ourselves, way harder on ourselves than our kids probably are, honestly.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but we're
yeah,
maneuvering through this parenting thing, and we have the
yeah,
addition of adoption through it. So
yeah. So,
it's a good journey. So I'm glad I'm able
yeah,
to. I'm glad I have you to
I'm
go
glad I
through it
have
with.
you too.
Oh, that's
So,
so sweet.
before we go to the wind down, where we for real get live and twisted, I have well, there's two questions before we get to the part about some of our favorite bloggers because we want to talk about that too. Is what do you see yourself writing about in probably in the next month or so? Are there some things that you see yourself kind of some things on the parking lot that you anticipate writing about?
Yeah, I'm gonna write about our Halloween experiences and probably, our holiday experiences. Um, I started kind of a little series about when I see adoption pop up in pop culture,
Mm,
and my thoughts about that there. And I think I'm starting to get out a little bit more and read more, and so I'll probably start to comment a little bit more on blogs that I read on
mm,
um, other people's blogs that way.
yeah.
So that's what I expect to write about. What about you?
Yeah, certainly I'll be writing about the holidays, and I am finding myself. I mean, Hope and I are experiencing so many cool yet odd things, and so I'm kind of at this space now because she's as old as she is, where I'm like, well, I want to protect her privacy because 13 does 13-year-old stuff, and
Yes.
so all of that doesn't need to be out in the street. But and so I really am going to be working hard to make sure that the blog stays about my reaction to
Okay.
life on this
That's good.
journey, so that I certainly of course will be writing about her. I probably won't be writing about some of her specific antics. um, but just kind of what it's like to parent her and to parent singly and to just kind of how are we doing this. I also probably will be writing. We've got some things coming up um, with our larger family, and I don't just mean my extended family, but I'm really kind of trying to make a conscious effort not to refer to her family as her biological family, but her family, and kind of how do we figure out how to integrate this, and so there's some real
That's
challenges around
interesting.
it.
What
Yeah.
made you decide to make that conscious effort?
Well, I wrote about the package, I guess maybe a week or two ago, and you know, um, I really thought to myself, what it must be like to be them. And when I saw that they had written her some notes and stuff in the box, and they had, and I don't know where they, because I never said what her new full legal name was, because it's not like I just dropped her bio surname and added mine. They are actually legally both are her. They're together, her last name,
Okay.
and I didn't tell them that. I'm assuming, the way the internet is, it's probably out there somewhere. I have no idea, but they addressed the cards to her using her full name, her full new name.
Which show that they respected that.
Yeah, and I was like, and it just was a really big signal to me. And it was really, I know that that was for me. And I just imagine what it must have taken to do that. Um, and so I can't maintain that distance. There are things that really I struggle with, but I can't maintain that distance. That's her family. I'm not going to refer to them differently anymore. And, the onus is on me now to put on my big girl panties and figure out how to navigate this thing so that we can all make this work, because I think that it's in her best interest to have relationships with at least some of them. And I don't know how it's going to work, but that's her family. Those are her people.
You're gonna make
You
me
know.
tear up. Oh my god,
And
that
so,
is so wonderful. Honestly, you know that I've written about this, and
yeah,
I envision that to be what our family looks like someday
yeah,
in the future.
yeah,
And so I don't know how we're gonna get there yet. We're so far from it,
yeah.
but I am so inspired
Well,
by you taking that leap of faith. And it is a leap of faith because
it
you're
is.
opening yourself up to something that you're not familiar with. And, it's going to take work on both sides.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I am like so inspired by the fact that you are ready to do that. So, yay.
Well, thank you. I mean, I will have to say, I mean, I've thanked you publicly before, but your writing about this topic of family has been really influential in kind of how I've been forcing myself to think about this. And so, thank you. And I read a lot in some of those crazy Facebook groups that I'm a part of. I see families with infants really kind of trying to figure out how to do the open adoption thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I was like, I don't know how it's gonna work, but
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna, Holy Homeboy will take care of this too. So
Work it out.
late in the midnight hour, which incidentally, the dedication email came late in the midnight hour,
Mm.
and I was like, okay.
Somebody was praying, right?
Yeah, somebody prayed for me. So there
Mhm.
you go. So there's
Somebody
that.
was
So
convicted and had to wake up and write that email. That's what happened. So you
there
know
you
what?
go. So there you go. So favorite bloggers? Who
Uh,
are you reading these days?
let's see. You know, my blogging list has changed over time. I mean, I subscribe to quite a few blogs. But when I first started on this journey, I used to really read a lot of. I started out with Fosterhood in NYC. I don't know if
Oh
you.
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have some thoughts about Fosterhood in NYC. We don't have to talk about them now. But and then got turned on to Foster We, and
Ah
I
yeah.
am very sad that they are closing their blog. But I
Yeah.
understand they need to do that for their own reasons.
Yeah.
Um, and
Also
so those are two
one of my
blogs about.
favorites. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, yes. Because they did do an older child, they're fostering an older child, and they've been writing about their struggles with the foster care system and getting permanency for their child. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Foster We too, and I'm sad. I just found out today because I usually stalk their. I've been stalking their page for a few months, kind of, and I'm really grateful for them because they had a lot of people that from Foster We that um, were on following Foster We that kind of found me through Foster We, and so I'm really grateful for them. But that is also another reason why I'm really mindful of how do I think about writing in the future in a way that protects Hope's privacy. Um, because they raised some really interesting points and why they're kind of taking some things down, and so I will miss them. So I know that it's supposed to be like closing soon, so like rush over
If
to go
you have a
binge read
chance,
it.
you know how you do like a binge watch of a TV series? You need to go binge read their blog. I think they've been doing it for 3 years, right? They've been
Hmm.
blogging for three
Yeah,
years.
yeah. So who else do you like?
Mm, as far as adoptive mother, I mean, sorry, birth mothers or biological mothers, Adoption in the City
Oh
is
yeah,
a blog that really helped me to visualize what it can feel like for a birth mother or biological mother in an open adoption, right? So the feelings that she's feeling as far as trying to keep an adoption open and not harm the relationship and work through all these very hard and difficult issues, not because for herself, but for her son, right?
yeah,
And the things
yeah.
that she's fearful of. And it's just, she's just, her writing is so beautiful and so
Hmm.
open, and it continues to inspire me. It continues to
Yeah.
inspire me to reach out to Nana's biological family.
Hmm.
And also to be just cognitive of how I approach them and deal with them, because we would all be in this very uncomfortable place of trying to create this relationship, um,
Yeah.
of people who don't probably would never have belonged to each other in
Yeah.
any other circumstance.
Yeah.
So yes,
Good
that's
stuff.
one. What
Um,
about you? What about you? So those are
well,
my kind of foster care and birth mother ones. I have some other ones, but what about you?
yeah, so I mean, I read those as well. Foster Care Tales is one that I've been reading a lot more of lately. From Instant to Forever is a really good one, about a family that just kind of, they just kind of poof, just popped up. I mean, it was really kind of interesting because they went from having, I think they have a an older daughter, and then it was like they adopted 3 or 4 boys, like all within a really, I mean, or at least they had placement within a really short time, and so it was like, things moved very fast for them. Great, great blog. I love Serial Adopters blog, a very
Yes.
thoughtful and inspirational blog about, I mean, this family has adopted a lot of kids, and they
And a
are
lot of
really,
kids with special needs
I
too.
was going to say, they are really doing God's work. 'Cause and I mean, they just seem so joyful. I mean, it's not always easy, but I just always feel like,
Yes.
that's the type of mom, serial adopter, like shout out to her. She's been such a great inspiration, her and her family. I aspire to be that kind of mom that just has that kind of depth to kind of just give and give and give and give and give. And you can see that she just loves her kids so much. So I read Angela Tucker. Blog. Again, I mentioned her earlier. She's a black adoptee who was adopted in a transracial family. I also have become a big fan of Red Thread Broken. Um,
Yes.
yeah, again, another adoptee blog. And I've been really looking for those kinds of blogs so that I can kind of get some sense of maybe how do I get inside Hope's head, maybe.
Right? What
you
you
know,
made me thinking.
yeah, yeah. And so, future adopter, a sister's guide to adoption, hilarious, really
Yes.
funny. She's definitely a blogger to watch.
She just turned in her
I
application. So
know.
with all this
Uh,
preparation work, I'm like, girl,
I was like, I didn't do all
I'm
that.
impressed. I'm impressed. I'm impressed and still like, okay, I'm glad you finally got this application in. So,
Right. We've been waiting. We've been waiting. So congratulations to
yeah.
her. But I guess one blog that I will say that I read on a regular basis that's not adoption related, but she writes a lot about parenting and just other stuff is Mollytopia. I don't know if you've read that one, but
I haven't read that one.
she's just really, really funny. And she's got a dry wit, and she just recently survived a layoff at her job. And she's just really, really funny. And sometimes she writes a lot about her kids. And I think I may have reblogged a couple of her things, really kind of about raising a girl and how do you
Okay.
build that self-esteem and stuff. But she's really quite funny, quite funny.
Well, I just wanted to highlight one more in addition to
Yeah.
the ones that you said it. This is another adoptee blog called The Adopted Ones. And
Oh
so I
yes,
think
yes.
Tao is the writer there, and
Yeah,
she raises a
yeah,
lot of questions. She presses adoptive parents to be
yeah,
supportive of adoptee rights, and I just appreciate that,
yeah,
and she's open,
yeah,
to listening to a lot of different perspectives. So,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, we have a good community. There are
yeah.
lots of other blogs out there. We probably just haven't gotten to 'em yet.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at my list and I'm like, there's a really long. I think I looked at it just now. It's like I subscribe to 85 blogs. I know that I can't possibly read that many, but sometimes I just am able to sit down and binge and binge read. But there's some really great stuff out there. And I know on my blog, I know it shows the top 20 that I tend to be reading at any given time at the bottom, all the way at the bottom. So you can check some of those out, and if I get to other people's, then they end up on the 20. Which, so check it out. So we got like 10 minutes ish left, unless we, are
Shall we
really
go to the
boozing.
wind down?
Let's hit it to the wind
All
down.
right, wind
Cheers.
down. Yes. So we said we were going to try to take Blackish to be our new show, right? Because
Yeah.
we just could not find a reality show that we were digging. I mean, we've tried Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. We've tried. What else did we try?
Last week we
Tamar
tried
events.
Tamar events. We tried to live tweet, and both of us were like, "This is boring."
Boo. I'm changing the channel right now.
I could be watching Viola right now.
No shade, but
No shade. Yeah.
what
Right.
else? Nothing else is of interest. They're just doing too much. Hollywood divas. I'm like, no, that's not the right type of thing. So.
Yeah. No,
Blackish has the most potential, and if
it
you're
really
not
does.
familiar, we've talked about Blackish on the show before, but if you're not familiar, it's a story about an upper middle class black family, and the father, whose name is Andre, really is starting to have these kind of small crises of cultural identity and want to make sure that his children are, not, still
Black
relating
enough.
to, yeah, basically they're
Black
black
enough.
enough. They're still relating to black culture, even though they have all this social economic privilege that
Privilege.
allows them to kind of move around in the world and not consider race in
Yeah.
their day-to-day life. So the last two episodes, the episode before now was about the last week was about spanking. You want to talk about that one? Oh my goodness.
So I don't get a chance to really watch Blackish in real time, so I have to catch up on it when I catch up on my binge watching on the DVR and on demand on the weekends. And I texted Mimi when I finally watched last week's episode about the spanking thing because I laughed the entire half hour. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was spot on, complete with the grandpa who's like, "No, everybody needs to get beat.
Everybody.
They need to
And
get
as a matter of fact, I have the spanking track
apparatus."
that I wanted to pass this on to you. This ceremony. Let's do it. Okay, so just a real quick recap. So, I don't know what the son's name, but what's
I
the
can't think of
smallest?
what the son's name,
Well,
but
the
the
smallest
youngest
son, they have four
son.
children. The youngest son has been hiding in a store. So he's hiding in a department store, and his mother was frantic looking for him. And they found him hiding in a rack of clothes, even though he had heard his mother calling for him. So his mother, Rainbow, Tracy Ellis Ross, called Andre, the father, and said, "You have to spank him when we get home." So that's where it starts. So it comes home, and Andre, talks to his coworkers about spanking. And it's interesting because the coworkers are saying, "Oh, absolutely, people should get spanked. I got spanked and everything." So he's like, "Okay, cool." And then he said, "So I'm thinking about spanking my son this evening." They're like, "Oh, absolutely
No.
not. You can't spank your kid." So it's interesting because they believe in spanking or
In the
discipline.
abstract. That's what the woman said in
Yeah,
the abstract.
yeah, but not actually doing it, right? So it
But it's
sounds
also
good, but not to actually do it.
not to actually do it. What I found interesting about that scene was that it was a multiracial scene. So everybody was like, oh, yeah. All the white people were like, yeah, we
Yeah,
got beat. Yeah, and I'm a better person for it. No, beating is good. We
right.
should expect more people. Great. I'm going to beat my kids. No.
No, that's bad. No, you can go to jail for that. Everybody was like, "That's a bad idea."
But I
So
liked it because that scene transcended race, and it was just really funny. It was just really funny.
So he goes home, and I guess he is preparing to do this, and he talks to his father, right, about it, and his father's like, "Yeah, I've been waiting on this moment." His father has this racetrack that he used to beat Andre with, because Andre has these remembrances, and he doesn't. The interesting part is he doesn't seem to have any ill feelings towards his father about
Oh, no.
being spanked,
Yeah,
even though he was spanked with a racetrack, but. He doesn't seem to have any ill will, but he doesn't feel quite comfortable with it. He's like,
yeah,
I don't want to do it. So
yeah.
his father's saying, no, you absolutely have to do it. That's what we do. And I did it to you, and you turned out fine.
Right, right.
Um, so all the kids are concerned about this. The kids decide to band together and boycott the spanking. So they tell the father that he absolutely can't spank them, and I don't remember exactly what happened in
It
the.
was like you got to spank us all, and he just was remembering he did spank the oldest at some point, and he was like, it was so traumatic for both of them. And it was so funny because the oldest kid, I was so funny. I was watching with Hope because the oldest kid was like, "Well, I'm gonna take one for the team and band it together because I cannot let this happen to y'all. It happened to me. It was terrible. It was traumatic. It was awful. But I'm past the spanking window."
Oh yeah, and the grandfather says, "No, you still got a butt that you can get big. As long as you, as long as you have a behind, we can spank it." He was like, "Wait a minute, I thought there were rules to this." So
So yeah, it was hilarious.
yes. So anyway, I mean, we can go on and on about this. You
Yeah, it
just need
was
to watch
really
the show. But
funny.
the point is, at the end of the day, he had had to put on his spanking outfit, picking out the belt to spank. Um, I mean,
It was a whole
but I can see a
experience.
parent going through this because
Yeah.
if you've waited this long to spank your child, you feel like you do need to be prepared. Like how many times am I
Times
actually
is
going to spank him? So he finally goes in to spank him, and the little boy puts on all these layers of clothes, which I can relate to. So he and finally, Anthony Anderson's character decides, I just can't spank him. Like
Yeah.
we've passed that time. I'd rather just talk to my kid and not spank him,
Yeah.
and hopefully that's the thing that works. There's a couple of things that I have an issue with this episode. Like, why, if this is something that you do, why is he like 7 years old and first time getting spanked? Like, why is this such a big deal in your family?
Well, yeah, and I actually was going to bring that up too because I was like, well, these must be good kids because I was getting like, spankings way before that age. So,
not even if it's not like a big spanking,
But a smack your hands or,
yeah, knocking,
pump on the
yeah,
leg or something.
you pinch,
And
like
so,
they don't seem to have any of these like disciplinary tactics. So,
yeah. Well, and it also kind of did juxtapose this, okay, well, and when you scare your parents, then they punish you.
right,
And so don't scare your parents. And that was kind of one of the underlying kind of, themes that they kind of got lost pretty quickly because the focus is on, am I going to do this? Am I going to discipline this way or not? But it was like the trigger was, and I mean, I was guilty of it. And I had flashback because I did at this department store back home when I was younger than him. And I did get the wait till your daddy comes home speech.
you felt this, you understood this, right?
I did. But there was no like, let's talk about it, no striking, no racetrack. No, I did get,
You got that
I
spanking.
got the spanking and I
Yeah.
didn't do that no more. But there was this initial message of when you scare your parents, I'm mad at you because you scared me. And so therefore I need to use corporal punishment to discipline you.
Mm,
And I had personally experienced that. So, I mean, it was something I could relate to. But it was kind of like, oh, wow, like she's scared. And so, it, now, even though I had personally experienced that same scenario years and years ago, there was this kind of epiphany of like, oh, wow, so don't scare me like that again. Wait till you get home. Like, you're going to
right,
get it.
right. I really like this show, but one of the things that I think bothers me with the continuity of the show, because I do enjoy it, is it seems like he dropped his kids off for like 10 years and now he's just showing up. It's almost like, why are all these things now an issue for you? Like
Um,
the
yeah.
it seems like, especially with his son, he's always trying to like make sure that he's black enough. But I'm like, have you not been talking to him for the last 13 years? Like, what's that? What happened? Why all of a
Yeah.
sudden now he's 13 and you're like, oh, I think I missed that.
Well, I think,
I don't understand that part of it. I
yeah.
don't understand that
Well,
part of the show.
I think that episode where Bo, where he tries to prove that he's super dad and stepping in, to me is eye opening because apparently that's the first time he ever did that.
Yes, that's true. Where he
And
showed up.
but I mean, it's a pattern. Like she's been doing everything, and so then you mentioned in a previous podcast that oh, he gets rewarded for doing all this stuff, but really it is no. He's just finally he is just kind of dropping back in because she has been taking care of everything, and now she's like, whatever. I'm an anesthesiologist. I got patients. Bye.
So is that what's happening? Because that's the part of the show that the continuity seems weird to me. Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden this is like an issue and now you need to teach all your kids. Your kids don't seem to have any idea about Obama and they just don't have any kind of cultural reference points at all. They just don't seem to have
Right.
anything. So I'm like, well, what are you guys talking about at
Right.
home? Nothing?
Well, yeah, because that means that Rainbow ain't doing it either. And so, but I
Yeah.
mean, there is this kind of piece that is a little reminiscent of my dad was very, very involved. He was great, but there was this period in the '80s that I refer to as the '80s strike.
What?
There was this period that I refer to as the '80s strike, and it was basically like my mom was like, she had three girls, and she was like, yeah, I need you to do some hair and I need you to make breakfast. And so we left the house looking really, really crazy.
Because your
And
mom was like, you need to help out some more.
I tell people we used to look like antelopes because it took them a long time before the pigtails actually ended up on the side of the head. They were like right here for a long time. But my dad makes the best breakfasts now. Like we don't even want my mom to cook breakfast. Dad like burns down the house. It's like he's the bomb. But it was like this period of time when he stepped up. And
Yeah.
it was just really different. And so I do think about that when I watch the show, but I am kind of like, oh, okay, now all of a sudden everybody's worried that they, whether or not they're black enough. I don't know. It is weird. But the show has really gotten a lot. I mean, I watched
It's gotten so
the
much
pre
better.
but it's gotten a lot better. The episode where he bonds with his son is hilarious.
Yes.
I will just say, without giving away too much, that we are going through lots of kinds of conversations in our house, and I thought that
Yes.
episode was hilarious.
Yes. The last episode, the pranking episode, was pretty cool.
Mhm.
Um, the nod episode when he wants his son to have a black friend. This- well,
Yeah,
first of all, the issue of the other black person at your office, right? So there's kind of this thing that if you're in an office and you're the only, one of a few black people, you guys should band together. But what if that person is someone that you just don't like
don't
or
lie.
don't get along with or don't vibe with? Now you're stuck. So he's
Yeah,
stuck with this creepy guy who he probably would never be friends with, besides the fact that
but
they,
they,
feel like they have to stick together in the
yeah,
office.
yeah, makes interesting bedfellows, huh?
Yeah,
So
and then he brings his son over, and his son is pretty much into the same thing that Dre's son is. Oh, let me tell you about this inside joke I saw on the show. Did you watch the pranking episode this last Halloween?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. So when they first had this episode, I mean, when they show the guy in the trash can that jumped out the trash can, remember the guy that jumps out the
yeah.
trash can? So I remember this YouTube video that I used to show. I thought it was so hilarious. This guy jumps out the trash can. Is a black guy to a white guy, and they're standing by this trash can. And this guy jumps out the trash can, and the black guy turns and like puts the dude to sleep. I mean, he punches him in the face, and the guy just like slumps back in the trash can. So I was telling Wood, like, oh my God, this looks like that. That's so funny, right? When they bring over, I don't know the character's name, but he does it. He hits him in the face. I'm like, oh, this is just like that YouTube video,
I just need y'all to know at this point I'm laughing at Mimi because this was me on the Aretha episode.
but I have to put a link to this video, and then you have to watch the Blackish so you can see, because I feel like the writers saw this video, and that's why they did it. And it's only maybe it's like an inside joke around the black community about this dude. Anyway, the wine. Okay, we might need to wrap this wine down.
So check out Blackish. It comes on Wednesdays. ABC, come holla at your girls because y'all have just cracked me up. Best wine down ever.
You guys have. I'm going to put this on the show notes because you have to watch it, and then you have to watch Blackish. And you have to tell me if it reminds you of this.
Okay. I think I know the YouTube video you're talking about, but I hadn't,
Yes.
I hadn't made the connection, so I'm gonna have to peep
And
that.
this is mean of me, but what made me laugh too was that the dude punched him on purpose. He was like, I needed to get that out. Okay, I'm done.
Maybe it's like falling apart.
That episode, the whole episode was funny to me. The fact that he had a camera in the fridge.
Oh yeah, the camera in the fridge.
Oh gosh.
So
Okay.
I cannot wait to hear
You
how
have to
Future
watch
Adoption
this.
recaps this episode. So any recommendations?
My recommendation is to watch Blackish and watch this YouTube video that I'm going to post on our show notes and tell me. I'm done. I'm done. I'm shutting up shop for the night. I'm done.
So Mimi's recommendation is catch this YouTube video that she's gonna put out and catch Blackish. I don't really
Don't drink
have
wine without eating.
and don't drink wine without eating. I had my McDonald's and so but I am feeling the effects of my gigantic rum and coke. My recommendation is if you are planning on observing Halloween tomorrow night, just cut a bed sheet. Like, Don't go to Party City.
Don't go to party. We both had the similar experience at Party City. That is not the.
Don't do it.
Do not wait till the last minute to go
Don't
to
do
party.
it. Don't do
Don't
it.
don't do
Don't
that.
do it. It was traumatic. Like I actually tweeted that how like my festiveness just went right out the door at
I
Party
couldn't even
City.
park in the parking lot. I
Right.
had
We
to
had to
park
park
across the
block.
street in
Yeah,
the
we had to
Kroger's.
we had to park a ways away. And then I was like, oh, the line is so short. And they were like, no, no, you need to go like 3 aisles over, and that's where the line starts. Oh.
And the skanky Halloween costumes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the price.
Like,
Okay, let me tell you something. The other. Okay, we're
yeah,
done.
the price. The price. Yeah, we'll have to continue. We'll have to continue this. But so anyway, where can they find you? Are you together enough to tell them where they can find you?
You can find me on the blog at complicatedmelody.com. That's melody with an I. You can
Mm.
find me on Twitter at Mimi Complex. You can email me at complicatedmelody@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook at Complicated Melody. Yeah, Complicated Melody. Yes, that is Melody with an I. We need to
Best podcast
wrap
ever.
this up. Yes, wrap it up.
You can you can find me um, at adoptiveblackmom.com for the blog. I am also on Twitter at Adoptive Black Mom, and Facebook, same name, Adoptive Black Mom. And you can find both of us on Google Plus, and we also have a Google Plus page for the podcast at Water and Stir. Tweet us your
Yes, tweet us.
highlight reel. Tweet as always. Our hashtag is @water. Tell us how you're treating yourself. Treat yourself.
Treat
Um,
yourself.
and oh yeah, email as well at drblackmom.com, at gmail.com. So hit us up and let us know what you think of the podcast. Share us. Oh, any shout outs before we for real like fall into complete disarray?
Well, I'm shouting out. I don't know who the viewer is, but I have a feeling that it is future adopter, and so don't judge us. But I'm shouting out future adopter because I know she's going to do an epic recap of this.
And I'm so glad it's not gonna be about me this time. It's gonna be about you.
I rebuke that.
So anyway, we will see you all in 2 weeks, and catch us on the blogs or Twitter or Facebook. Thanks a
All
bunch.
right. Bye.